All right, we're live on another Wednesday at 9 p.m. Thank you guys for joining tonight. We have the two producers of the Kirk Minihane show. For the first time, I'm doing a show in which the two guests already did a show earlier today together for a half hour and got all their thoughts out onto the table. So, I reached deep in the bag for this one. We're going to do okay. So we're ready to go. But first of all, thank you guys. How are you guys doing so far?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us. I gotta imagine you're gonna ask, and we're gonna cover a lot more topics than what Justin. I mean, the fact that Justin and I got over 18 minutes in a producer show is a win, I guess.
It's always a win.
Yeah. So maybe we overperformed today. So maybe you got your work cut out for you. We'll see.
I have
Well,
heard that producer show be described as a meandering conversation. Hopefully, someone at the helm can direct this a little
That's
bit.
chemistry.
And
That's chemistry for you. That's just
yeah,
us. That's just two friends talking. So
I will say I did get a call from a Michael Montante about an hour ago asking me how this show went. And I replied, I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. And he said, shut the fuck up. Yes, it has. You guys pre-recorded it. And
just because of that one stupid line about the 9 p.m. thing,
he said apparently like Freddie tweeted it out that it was pre-recorded.
no, so here's what happened. Dave said that during the producer show that he would be interested in pre-recording it, and
Yep.
then someone that runs the network Twitter account tweeted out that tonight's show has been pre-recorded and it's must watch. And then that got retweeted, and then you know how it goes on Twitter. Once the ball gets rolling, there's nothing you can do about it.
I have seen you interact with the chat, but it's not like you're not crazy going through the chats and stuff like that. But I have
once
seen
or twice an episode. Yeah. It's also, it adds a component for the people. So, and we have been live at 9 p.m. ever since the first week of Surviving Barstool aired. So we've stuck with it. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining. Just a couple of housekeeping items to check off the list before we jump into. There's a lot to talk about before we jump into it all. So I did announce last week at the end of the episode that this program was going to be taking an extended break. This would be the final episode of season 1 of this show. That is true. The show is ending for now. Season 2 is open-ended. I don't know if it's going to be 3 months from now or 9 months from now or whenever I feel like it's time to hop back in, we'll do it. And there's a few reasons for that. I think, and Kirk stole my line, because when I spoke to him Friday night, I told him, I'm not taking a break. I don't need to take a break. The show needs to take a break. I think this particular program has gotten stale. I think this is week 15 or 16 in a row with 28 different unique guests on the program. It's a lot of work behind the scenes. I think the show's getting stale. There's other stars on the network. And if we take a look back at when I first started this show, the main reason I started it was in the fall. Mike and the Minifans was not a great product. And it's not Fax's fault. He was the host at the time, but the network needed something fresh. They got it. I think this program has done a good job. And, once Mick is ready to jump back into hosting Mike and the Minifans, we're passing the torch right back off to him. So enjoy everything on the network. All mostly good shows. We support all those guys.
I like that. A very selfless move, Freddie.
Yeah, I mean, I think this show, probably peaked 2 months ago, and I had to get some of the big names on the show to keep it rolling, and we did. And now it's time to take a step back and let some of the other stars run with the ball. So
And with that said, I don't know if you're getting to it. Was it just reported that Bradley Stein will be taking over for Mike and the Minifans this week for Mick?
So here's what I know. Mick is not able to do it this week, and Bradley Stein is doing it definitely this week at least. I don't know beyond that.
Okay.
So I know he's going to bring his own style to the table. So we could look forward to that. I'm not, time will tell what that'll look like, but it should be must watch. So whenever that stream goes live on Friday night, everybody should tune in.
I'm excited for it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we got that out of the way. If you guys have any questions on that during the course of the show, just chime in and let me know. I know it's super exciting. But anyway, so thoughts on, the Kirk Minihane show is taking a 6-week hiatus per Kirk. What were your initial thoughts when he announced it on the show on Monday? I know, Dave, you sort of already knew. Justin, were you in a little bit of shock? Were you worried? Are you over that? What's the gut say?
I guess I'm over the shock definitely now. But I definitely do this thing where if you tell me something is coming that I don't want to happen, I just kind of push it to the back of my brain and I like don't acknowledge it. So when it does happen, it kind of just hits me like a brick. Obviously, this wasn't like a huge major announcement. It's not like the show's coming to an end, just a short break. But yeah, I was in a little bit of a shock when that happened.
Yeah, you didn't even laugh. Who's the person who posted that video today, like going close up on you?
Yeah, it was like 118 seconds of
It was something like that, but like the mutt joke happened where it didn't even like hit me until Kirk like literally pointed out that Mutt just shaved his head for one show, and then that, and you like that to me was the funniest thing I'd heard maybe that show. And you legitimately, your face is just, I mean, the mic was covering half of it, but it looked like you weren't playing along. Like you weren't having fun in that moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just an
Yeah.
emotional moment.
Yeah.
Granted, it was probably like an overreaction.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I would say, saying I'm over it now is such a weird way of putting it. But it's kind of like, well, it's a 6-week break. You know, we have things to do in the meantime.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I was looking back through prior periods of hiatus of the show. If this holds to 6 weeks, it'll be the longest one ever. No other hiatus has actually gone more than 3 weeks, or I think 22 or 24 days or something like that. So if this holds true, it will be the longest break that we've seen. Dave, going into Laconia weekend,
Yep.
Where did you put the odds that the show was going to take a hiatus? Do you think it was 50-50, or were you more firm one way or the other?
If I were a betting man, I probably was just going to say Kirk would take 2 weeks after Laconia, because I think, did he take 2 weeks after Portland? I thought it would just be like a traditional break. I know he was like building it up as something bigger, in the previous weeks, but I didn't think that would actually happen. I just thought it would be kind of like a 2-week break, which for Kirk, for me, for Justin, whatever, it's like a working break. It's just figuring out what the case, season's going to be and stuff like that. And then something along the lines of this, which is the starting process of a studio redesign as that's ongoing, shit like that. But I didn't think it would be till April 16th, not a long break like that.
Yes, after Portland last year, he took 2 weeks off, but it was also a working break. That was when he did the mini golf thing. He was
right.
still doing unnamed. So he just didn't do KMS for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, it was sort of built in because he had other work stuff going on. Justin, where would you have put that odds before going into Laconia weekend?
I probably would have said like 20%, because I think everything was rocking and rolling. And then I honestly, I would have put it at like 1% after Laconia. Like if you asked me like the day after, because he said, we're not going anywhere, and the show went off so great. I would have thought maybe like a 6-week break, I would have put at 1%, like Cully said. Like a 2-week break, I probably would have put at like a 50% sort of.
Yeah, I mean, even like you have to do the the Monday wrap up type of show for the live show, but you saw it, Freddie. Like, I mean, what he goes through on that show, like if he took 2 weeks and just like immediately as that show's finishing, if he's just like, all right, I'll see you in 2 weeks or something like that, you wouldn't blame him for 1 second and just like completely remove yourself from the world, because he gives it 110% and then some.
Absolutely.
I know he kind of mentioned this on the show Monday, but there was a chance we didn't have a show Monday. He texted us on Sunday. He was like, hey, my voice is completely shot. I don't know if I can do a show tomorrow. So we were kind of like on edge waiting to see how his voice would be, which like if you heard him after in the like green room, like you could hear like you could still like hear him talk, but he had like that early stages of like losing your voice after you just like did a hell of a performance of 3 hours of screaming.
Yeah, and that's when he puts it all, he puts his all into it when he can barely talk on Monday. So that was we're used to that. So I thought the show reactions, Mike was not shocked at all. He's like, guys, he said he was going to do this. But when Kirk said like he kept teasing the long break, I took that as like a little bit of a test. Like, let's see if this affects people or not. Sort of like when he pulled the YouTube stream and people freaked out. To me, that was a test. The show was back, within 2 episodes back live on YouTube. But, on this one, I was wrong. Kirk deserves the break. Well earned, obviously. He's still got a lot going on. And was it a coincidence that he and his therapist were the only people that knew, and I announced that this show was taking a hiatus.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I'll let you guys decide.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna.
was, I
I'm
was
not gonna.
curious
I'm
about
not gonna
that.
go there.
If
Yeah.
like maybe he was like teetering on it, and then he heard when his like Fireside Chats is no more, he's like, well, what the fuck is the point then?
Right. It does seem like he's like he said, like what did he say? This therapist said if you come back before April 16th, something's wrong or you're not doing well or something like that. I would have put that like I would have said if he announces he's going to go on a 3-month break, I'd be like, okay, it's going to be 3 weeks, and he'll send the text like we're going in tomorrow or what, you know what I mean? Like that would have been my mentality is, it's not going to be as long as he says, but in this case, he seems pretty dialed in, and from what I know with what has to happen with the case, I would assume that's one of the major reasons why.
Yeah, no, there's definitely going to be a lot going on. So that sort of leans into my next sort of bullet point is what are you guys going to be doing? So like how many days a week are you going to be in studio? Justin, what are the ideas at for sort of a redesign? Is the ball rolling, or are you sort of like, what the fuck do I do with this?
The ball is rolling, but I'm also like, what the fuck do I do with this? Because so the past couple of days, I've just pretty much cleaned out the entire. You haven't been in the studio before, but that entire room, I cleaned it out. I'm wiping down all the walls. I'm getting all the wires together. Like everything is out of there, including like these soundproofing. No one gives a fuck about this, including like these soundproofing things. But like I realized, like without like those makeshift walls and the soundproofing thing, there was like an echo in there that is like super loud, super bad. So we're trying to figure out like what the best course of action is to do with this over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we
So
started that. I mean, I know he said like that's. I'm not gonna like not try to help Justin through that too. So I'm gonna like I want to be involved in that if Justin will let me. And so we were on phone calls today having conversations about that. From my perspective, sending Kirk stories about the case and hopefully soon he's saying this is the story we're working on and we're just diving into that full throttle. Because he's alluded to it. I mean, that alone, just working on the season of the case in general is a full-time job. Let alone the fact that he hasn't said anything, but there are other things happening that are pretty big that are ongoing that I had to work on today for an extended period of time. So there's a lot of stuff to do, through the April 16th.
The fans always love it when you tell them that there's stuff going on, but you can't tell them what it is.
I would love. It's just part of the process, whether you like it or not.
No, I get it. I get it. You're doing your job.
But I'll say this: like, it's. I know a lot of people question like whether or not it's big or not. It's pretty fucking big. So that's So it's a serious thing. And if he said he was taking a break till April 16th to focus solely on that, once you find out what it is, you'd say that's rational.
Are you talking about? Maybe I missed it. Something show related, something case related.
Case related. It's case related. Yeah.
So like a streaming potential, something like that.
I can't. Something big. That's all. Like what he said on the show is probably enough. But it's. Yeah. We don't need to go too much further. I'm a dummy. I'd say something stupid.
Doing voiceovers for the Hulu series. I gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I did hear some good suggestions for the studio refurb. Someone mentioned like redo it into a retro Papagino's, like so that Kirk's sitting at the bench pretending to eat a pizza while he's recording. I'm not sure if that's stupid or not, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I think something like that would be good for like one episode, and then like I don't know if he wants to like come in every week and sit down at the Papagino's and like so like just here's a pizza place we like that doesn't sponsor the show that we so I don't know we're trying to think of something.
It's hard. It's like I mentioned on the producer show today, like I sent that douchey text yesterday to Kirk to be like, is there anything we can draw inspiration from? And so
he says no.
He said no, obviously, but we'll kind of from Justin and I kind of just thinking through it, we'll come up with at least like 7 or 8 sets of podcasts that are within the realm of something we would think Kirk would like, and then hopefully we can send those to him and say, is this a good format for you? Because I can't see him like sitting at the same kind of conference room style table that other podcasts are doing. It's got to be separate. And there's not a ton of podcasts out there like that, where they have like the desk and then the 2 chairs set up like we have now. There's not a ton out there. So we gotta dig a little bit.
Yeah, I did another one like to draw inspiration from like some sort of retro, not a record store, but like a library / record sort of place, like sort of like the vibe of KFC's new set.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But
yep.
we can move on from that. You mentioned the desk and everything. When he tipped over the desk on Monday, I gotta say, watching the YouTube live stream, it kind of felt like the last day of school when you've turned in all your books and your grades are already finalized and there's nothing left to do until that final bell rings and then you're sort of off for the summer. It was a little bit of that vibe, like this is a weird feeling. You know what I mean?
Yep. No,
I get that.
I completely agree. Yeah, it was strange, but it's also like, if he didn't do something as kind of, not that it was super dramatic or anything like that. If he didn't do that, if he just like walked out and the desk was there and he said like, I want a studio redesign, I feel like, I don't know, we'd almost like have more questions of like, how much do we really need to change or whatever. And the fact that he just like demolished it like that and then just said like, do it over completely, at least we know like we're starting with a blank slate and it needs to look completely different. Like we kind of know the parameters.
So what's his setup going to look like tomorrow on Unnamed? What are we going to see when we tune in tomorrow?
It's going to be a tiny desk with a
Yep.
camera pointed at him.
Yeah, that black one that Fax was using, that little
I
thing.
think
Yeah,
so.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I don't think
Okay.
it will be the most basic of all basic things.
Yeah.
Any other
we'll zoom in. I think they're pretty close up. Like sometimes Kirk's like got a wider shot than those guys on you know what I mean? Like than Whitney and Portnoy. We can zoom in on Kirk. I don't think you have to like see too much of the desk in that situation. Yeah.
Any other takeaways right now in this spot on the break or the refurb or any of that before we move forward?
I don't think so. I think we said today like it was jarring to just like see the studio the way it looked without anything else in there and the windows and like actually seeing outdoors. I know people hated that camera shot of the third chair guest where the the sun was coming in and kind of like block it was messing up that shot or whatever. But Kirk just wanted to make sure he could see the outdoors a little bit, and so that's why that was opening. Here it's almost like we opened it up and that's not there anymore. It actually looked like kind of nice. I don't know if you thought that, Justin, too. Like it was kind of nice seeing like the outdoors in that spot potentially behind him. It won't end up being like that, but it was kind of nice to see. So it was different, but yeah. Besides that, for the break, I don't think I have too much else to add to the break.
Yeah, it was good to see in that spot. So you guys sort of did a final Laconia wrap up on your show today, but just maybe a couple other topics to pick at. Sort of the final takeaways. We've heard your recap on the show Monday. We heard your recap today, but like sort of just a couple takeaways for me. Like so. Let's go to Friday night specifically. That place for Mike and the Minifans, that to me was like the perfect setup because the stage was all the way in the back. The whole left side of the wall was the big long bar. And then the rest of the area was pretty much all open, scattered with some tables. And then on the far side, there were some more tables. It just, for that type of situation, it seemed like a pretty ideal spot. So I guess credit to Julie there. What did you guys think of that location?
I thought it was perfect. I thought legitimately, like you said, it was the perfect location. I loved Gritty's in Portland. I don't know if you went to Gritty's in Portland before. The past couple of live shows in the Portland one, but that was like a smaller bar. People are on top of each other, and this was kind of like there was enough space where if you wanted to listen to the show, you could be up front, you could see it. But then if you wanted to be in the back and talking with people, you could do that too. I think it was awesome. And then I also love the idea that there was karaoke right afterwards. I sadly didn't stay, but if I was just going as a fan of the show, that would have been an incredible experience to see. Like seeing the videos of like Coleman and Bobby going up there singing Cowboy Coleman, Kevin from Bristol going up there singing songs. That was just like another added kind of thing to it that you wouldn't have expected.
There were some all-star performances. All-star performances. Danny and Barica stands out as well. I don't know if there was a feed from the big house that is accessible, but if there is, we need to get that on a DVD somewhere.
There probably is, because that we didn't talk too much about that setup. Like I think first place was perfect in terms of size. To your point, like plenty of tables, plenty of space. Nobody. It was you didn't feel like you were on top of anybody. But when I first walked in there and saw the big stage, and I was like, holy shit! Like Mick's gonna have to sit there, elevated, like out. It just felt like a little bit too much. Like in the, I don't know, it just felt like a bit, whatever. It just felt like it'd be a big deal. And then when we talked to the guy and he was like, no, like this is the specific podcast area over here. Then we got into kind of this mind fuck of like, they have this perfect setup, right? Like all their cameras are there, their streaming's there, they're hardwired on internet, which is like the number one problem we always have going in these places and having problems with that stuff. So we had to make that kind of judgment call of being like, all right, we're off to the right where a lot of people can't see us, but fortunately they have these monster TVs, so we're projecting out to everybody. And then, it was just kind of like you had to weigh the pros and the cons, and it just felt like it was just something we had to agree to. You know what I mean? And I was happy to see. I saw some of the reaction in the chat as we were doing it, like what the fuck is this vertical video thing? But
that was the one weird thing. Their layout for the live YouTube feed was very weird.
yeah,
It was something that we weren't used to. But if that's the biggest complaint, like
correct.
who
We just
gives
had
a
to
shit?
weigh that. Like that was the thing. We just had to say,
Yeah.
like, is going, portrait
Vertical.
versus landscape the biggest deal in the world? Probably not. I know when I'm watching Mike and the Minihanes on Friday night, like I'm on the couch watching it on my phone while my wife's watching TV. So, when we can go check the data, I actually want to go see that specifically. Go check the data and see like what's the, how many people are watching on mobile versus desktop or whatever, stuff like that. So we
And
weighed that.
half the
I
people
heard-
that normally watch were probably in the building anyway.
Right.
So.
That's true too. Right.
I heard Menor say that it was the best viewing experience of any Mike and the Minifans live show from a viewer perspective. So I think some people hated it, some people loved it. So
I believe that because I bet the audio was perfect, and I bet in the past it hasn't been. That's just my guess.
Yeah. It was better.
audio was pretty good last year in Portland.
I would say, like, we just had to make that judgment call, but if you're gonna give us shit for like being almost like hidden in that back right area, it's probably warranted. It's just something we like had to do in that situation. But
You can say it in that spot.
no, I'm not gonna say it. I'm doing my best. But like if Kevin from Bristol was like, why the fuck were they hidden? He kind of alluded to that on the show the other night a little bit, but didn't really reference that the big screens were there to help out. But nobody there complained. Like when we were walking around after, nobody really said anything about like the spot, in the back right corner and we couldn't see you. So
Well, it's also people.
All right.
People are there, and if they pay attention, they pay attention. But they're not there to watch Mike and the Minifans. They're
Right.
there to hang out.
Yeah.
And it's it was a 1 hour, whatever, 15, a quick hit, and then it's just sort of the night rolls on.
Right.
So
right. Yep.
You did mention Mick. Any other takeaways with Mick? I'm excited to support Mick in his journey as a Jerry Callahan fan, but I'm also excited for when he comes back to host Mike and the Minifans, whenever that may be. So, any final Mick thoughts? We don't have to spend too much time on it because most thoughts have already been shared.
I don't have anything else to say. I do think, like, I will say I was not expecting like the Jerry Callahan retweets on Monday. I think that was a funny twist where it's like, what's Mick going to do? He's going to tweet something. And did not acknowledge it at all. Just tweeted Jerry Callahan. It was kind of funny. I will say I disagree with his premise of being angry, but like Kirk said, Kirk understands it. He doesn't think he's completely wrong. But yeah, Mick said he's still going to be hosting Mike and the Minifans during the break. Interested to see not only Mick hosting that, but what exactly that show is going to be over the next couple of weeks. So,
yeah. My only takeaway is, and it's everything we said, so we don't have to spend too much time. But he just seemed in such a good mood. Like Friday night was great. Obviously, we don't all get the chance to like hang out, and so I felt like got a good chance to talk to him before Mike and the Minifans and after a little bit. And so then seeing him at the, whatever they're calling the Montate house or whatever, after the live show for a little bit. So it just felt like the vibes were really good, that when he did tweet that stuff, it felt strange versus just, I don't know, if he felt at any point slighted. I almost thought he would have texted one of us just to say like, hey, can you help me out and take care of this? Because we never would have we didn't mean to slight him in any way. So
yeah. One quick question. Someone tweeted that, the people that were involved in the show were offered tickets a couple hours before, and they said half the crowd raised their hands. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but are you guys here to name names? Who didn't have a ticket that maybe shocked you?
no one shocked me.
I don't know. I don't know anybody who requested a ticket. Did it happen in the back?
Like Coleman, like, because I went back there and I said like, who needs a ticket?
Right.
because I had mentioned in the past you need a ticket.
So you're saying Jack Coleman traveled to New Hampshire with no ticket in hand?
No, but yeah,
Correct.
but he knew he was backstage the whole time because he was the
Fair.
first guy on stage. We knew he was leading the show. So even
And
even if
Kirk's known about that the intro for a while, so that's why like we
Right.
got Coleman.
Like I didn't have a ticket to Portland 2. Did I say that today or the other day? I didn't have a ticket to Portland 2, and I knew I had backstage access and then could kind of go where I pleased. It never entered my brain to go to Coleman or Justin last time and say like, "Hey, can you make sure I have a seat?" I can understand why someone might want one, but it just never entered my brain.
Yeah, that's fair. We can come back to it. It's not a big deal. One last question on the Laconia wrap up. In the prior live show productions, there's been a video that comes out a few weeks later, sort of a behind the scenes recap. Is that happening, and what's the ballpark release date for something like that?
We were debating that on if we want to release that on YouTube, and then we were kind of saying, or do we just trickle out during this break more volume of individual clips with captions and stuff like that over the break so they can see the behind the scenes stuff. So I kind of like the idea of putting it on social directly in shorter form, as opposed to putting it on YouTube and getting, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10,000 views. But we have access to it. We were just kind of debating it, but right now it's in clip form.
As a fan's perspective, I'd say the longer version on YouTube to me is better. It's just something to sit back and watch and be like, that's pretty cool. The shorter clips on social, I get it, but
Yep.
if I had to vote, I'd vote for the YouTube version.
Yeah, we also didn't really have this time around, which is probably something we should do next time. We didn't have someone like going around asking people things like, "Hey, Kirk, how are you feeling?" Justin, Dave, like beforehand, or like things like this. We don't have a lot of like behind the scenes like people talking.
No, we just
It was-
documented the whole show basically.
Like, didn't Fasoli do that for the Wilbur stuff like that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's more like because me and Dave were just focused on because we tried really hard to. I'm not going to get into it, but we tried really hard to get the audio from Kirk's mic into our board, and that was taking like a lot of time and effort, which we ended up scrapping at the end. But we were kind of focused on that pre-show rather than trying to get everyone's take on things.
Gotcha. So one quick more bullet point before we move forward, but so like just overall for the weekend or in general, as we stand right now, sort of any stock up, stock down on people in the world, people on the show, third chairs, sort of whoever, if someone had a good weekend that surprised you, or maybe you were unimpressed with their weekend. Anybody have any stock up, stock down, maybe 3 up, 3 down? That's a good idea for the network. Someone should do that show. 3 up, 3 down. Maybe one of the new stars can pick that up.
I don't.
We didn't get a lot of time to like mingle really or to like witness, good or bad things from really anybody. I got a vibe that Brando was a big time star over the weekend.
Yes, what I've heard is that he rocked the Montante Mansion.
Yeah, and like what I saw when I walked in there, like first of all, super nice, because when you're in the studio and he comes in, we only chatted for like, I don't know, 7 minutes before the show or whatever.
Yep.
But super nice, like complimentary to me and everything like that, and to Justin after the show, and you could just see like everyone almost like going over to Brando and like he was the star of that house, at least when I was there. It felt like so.
I remember I was walking around there. I think I was doing something, and I just see like Brando like just run upstairs because everyone's drinking. I know Brando's a sober fella, so he's not drinking, and he just like Montante or Mick were like standing on the staircase, and he's like, "You got to move. I got to piss like a." What did he say? He's like, "I got to race like a piss horse," and I don't know what it was, but it was just like the way he said it. And then like he turned around like for approval, and I was like, that's a good one, Brando. I would say like stock up on Brando. I really wouldn't say stock down. I'm trying to think of stock down on anyone.
They were just I don't remember anything.
Did you see Kane's attempt at a red carpet show?
I did see that, but I like the attempt.
He went live and was just basically sticking the phone in people's faces as they walked.
Right. He grabbed me at one point.
Yeah, some people were critical of that, so I would say stock up for pretty much almost everyone. Everyone's like always good vibes at these shows. Like, it's just sort of the people that you don't get to see often that you sort of get to hang out with.
Yep.
Couple stock ups for me. Stock up Quidditch guy.
Oh, big stock up.
Yep.
Really
You
cool.
see him in the comments now. He's saying that that
He's
like
trying to cause
there's
fights.
no way,
Yeah.
Freddie. He would have hated to see a fight Saturday. When he said that to me, I'm gonna mention this 1,000 times because I think it's the funniest thing. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to get Fact and Coleman to fight each other. But it was very funny.
Stock up Coleman. He refilled my water
Yep.
for me because I did switch to water on Friday night as a responsible, mature decision.
Yep.
Stock up actually Nard Dog. Stock up for Nard Dog. He was at the cornhole tournament, and cornhole was very chill. Different than last time. Very chill. Good job, Steve. You'll have to tape at the Twin Barn Brewing. That was a fun place to be. Stock up. Daver's always good vibes.
Yep. Dave was a good time.
John and Warren. And Darren Cunningham out of the clouds was awesome to see on Saturday night as well.
Yep.
Stock up Bobby Costa for me. That was, I thought,
Yeah.
he would come out and he would kind of sing. The way he was swaying with Mutnansky at the end, everyone was going nuts. That was an incredible part that, like, we never rehearsed or anything. He just came on. So that's how Kirk wanted to end last Portland, was he comes out and sings Cowboy Coleman.
Yep.
But unfortunately, because his phone died or something, we weren't able to call him up. But big stock up. That was an incredible part.
Bobby's great. He was great Friday night. Also stock up Friday night. Danny and Billerica, his performance on stage was legendary. So just all around good vibes. Pretty much everyone, even the people out there that, I know that they don't like me, they were nice to my face. So thank you for that. But
Yep.
Good vibes all around.
Did you didn't sing karaoke, did you, Freddie?
I did not. No, there aren't enough IPAs in the world to get me up on stage to do that.
Oh, I see. I would have loved to get up there and just sing
And credit to everyone, credit to Coleman, credit to Danny, everybody who did that. That's not just singing karaoke. That's a monster stage.
Yeah.
That would scare the shit out of me to do something. It's not like just a karaoke bar that I'm familiar with personally. So that's a
lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stars out there. All right, it's time for Dave Cullinane's favorite segment of the program.
Perfect. Just when we start rolling, let's do this.
Let's go, baby.
We're going to put a halt to the program and jump into KMS trivia.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 1 today. On the producer show, Justin had a little trivia question that I totally forgot about. So I'm 0 for 1.
Oh, yeah, the key, the Madawaska key,
yeah.
thrown in the dumpster. Yeah, that's okay. You have plenty of time to redeem yourself. So these questions are probably on the harder side of things. Maybe not for Justin. I know he's a junkie for this stuff, a slut for nostalgia. So we'll see how it goes. What do you think is the best? How about if you know the answer, do the hand raise, and I'll call on whoever puts their hand up first. Visually, okay. I think that's easier than trying to decipher the audio. Yes, all right. First question. What county in Ireland is Kirk's family from on his father's side?
Oh, come on.
Nope.
No guesses.
Nope.
Dublin.
That's a city.
Yeah, I don't know any counties in Ireland. My apologies. This seems like something he probably mentioned on EEI.
No, he said it before.
County Cork.
Yeah.
County Cork.
Nope.
Pretty sure that's right.
God,
okay.
You got some easy ones to some other people. Just because we're producers doesn't. Well, I certainly don't have a memory for it, but God, you've asked some easy ones of other people. I was hoping for some of those, but
no, you got to give us the tough ones. You got to give us.
Go ahead.
Yeah, these are 8s and 9s and 10s. Okay, this one might be a little bit easier. What province in Canada is Kirk's mom family from? Justin.
Is that Nova Scotia?
No.
Correct.
Oh, I was going to say it too. Fuck.
There we go. All right. Justin's up 1-0. Couple more questions. All right, this one will be closest guess. We'll get it. Okay. How many different dozen teammates has Kirk had on Team Minihane that actually played in a match? Unique teammates. So if they've been on the team more than once, it only counts as once. Dave, you raised your hand.
I'm just going for the guess. I'm going to say 6.
I'm going to say 11.
6, 11. One of you is directly on.
And that's me.
And that's Justin.
More. Yep.
Dang, I did it in my head.
11.
Did you get all of them in your head? You counted to 11?
Yep.
So Sam.
Okay. Jared, Steve, the Chuba Hubbard girl, Trista, Big Ev, John Rich, right?
Yep.
That's
Hank.
5. Rico Bosco.
Yep.
We're not counting like the Jeff.
Rico
Van
only
Ginkel.
counts once.
Okay, Rico Bosco. Rico Bosco. Obviously
Hank. You say Hank?
Pat. Yes, Pat.
Pat.
Dave
just said one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hank. And then the two aunt Clemmer, Tommy, and then there's one more.
Not Tommy.
Not Tommy. I'm sorry, Robbie.
Yep.
I said Steve. I said Jared.
This is a glue guy.
Oh, he was on the bigger guy, right?
I already said Big Ev.
Oh, fuck.
Glue guy, producer type.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Quigs.
Yes, Quigs.
Oh,
That's
Yes,
11.
yes. No. Yep. I got it.
And if you look at the suitcase,
Do I get? Is it? I'm sorry. Do I get? Is it like the dozen since I got it directly on? I get 2 points.
yes, yes, exactly. So now
Okay.
you're up 3-0.
Unbelievable.
There was a name on the suitcase that serves as the logo for Team Minihane that never actually played a game, I believe. Megan Making Money was on the team for like a day, and then she did something to cross him, and then she was off before she got to play.
Because we're also not including. Well, I guess that was a fake trade. Remember that.
These are people that have actually played a game. Okay. So okay, that's the check off the typical Barstool question. Okay, what was here we go. The journey to 1,000 episodes. This is another closest guess. What episode, according to Shark's, official projection, what episode happened this past Monday? Which number episode?
Oh, Jesus. 9. I can't remember what the last one. 973.
Nope, it's going to be like 986.
One of you is off by one, and that's Justin. So Monday was episode 985.
Because it was supposed to be March 29th, I believe.
Yep. So the new projection for the 1,000th episode is going to be May 9th, 2025. That's, give or take. It depends how many weeks are 3 episodes, how many weeks are 4, sometimes maybe 5. So look for early May, May 9th, or somewhere in that vicinity.
4-0, baby. Let's go.
So Justin sweeps it.
It's over?
Oh, it's done?
Yeah, 4 questions. I don't think that's usually it's only 3. So.
But I still got 4 points. That's still pretty impressive.
Well, you didn't. Yeah. You missed a question though, didn't you? You didn't get one of them, did you?
I did not.
It wasn't perfect, so you
no
can
one
stop
got counting.
You're not.
But I still got 4. I still got 4.
You did. You definitely did. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many people that are like super shocked at the sweep.
No.
But it was a valiant effort on all sides. So appreciate that.
Cork
so
Island.
Yes, now that the show has come to a halt, we did trivia. Now let's jump into couple other quick notes before we move down to the next one. Shout out the Fawns Golf League. Kirk, I guess, is trying to get in. Apparently this weekend they have the Robbie V Spaces Invitational coming up. So I don't know how you get involved in that or watch it, but go find it out there. Sneakers runs a tight ship. So support the cause over there. We appreciate the Fawns Golf League and everything they do all year round. Speaking of spaces, so when you two, I don't know which one of you does it, but when you guys record the spaces, are you using a recording device or are you just doing it on your phone?
So I will say, I know Dave, I've never recorded the space. I have been sent stuff from that space. I will not say who, but it was not us. I know that for sure.
Not same to me. I have recorded a space before. I recorded the latest one. I was lying in bed listening to whatever, and they started talking about Julie, and I fucking hit record. It was not a Robbie V one, though. That was was it Steins or Kane's?
I think Kane started one.
Yeah. Does Kane have that mantra of no recording the spaces? I didn't hear it.
I don't know.
I just heard shitting on Julie.
I think at this point it's the Wild West.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard shitting on Julie, and I click record. So. Yeah,
so I knew I had to ask because it does get played on the show sometimes. So if your job is to bring content to the show, you'd just be doing your job if you're recording those spaces. So
right,
that's it is what it is.
I'm normally asleep when those spaces are.
It should be those should absolutely. If you're going to talk about the show, like that should be recorded. I'm sorry. You should do it. If you want it to be private, take it to like a personal Zoom
Discord
and
or
invite
something.
people. Yeah, like I don't know. But if you're gonna put it on Twitter, come on.
Okay, interesting stance. I think the people will take away that from what they will. But I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. Thank you. Um, so when the show comes back, we're looking at 6 weeks from now. The third chair bench seems to be cooking. There's a lot of fresh blood out there. I guess Mutt technically isn't fresh blood, but he will at that point have only had one show appearance in a 5 or 6 month span. And then Brando's only had one appearance.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sure he'll be rotating. Kevin from Bristol's only had one appearance. I'm sure he'll be in and out. So how do you guys feel about that bench moving forward? Also, quick note: Steve from Gloucester was supposed to be on the show this week. He's usually behind on the show, so he hasn't listened to Monday yet, and he took work off today to prepare for tomorrow's episode.
Yeah.
So you might owe him some back pay. You might have to check
I
in
do.
with him on that.
I do feel bad that this is the second time that Steve has been booked, and it's been canceled. First, it was because Kirk was sick, and now because obviously of the break.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the bench is
The bench is stronger than ever. Its bench is just it's stronger than ever, and there's a lot of new people that are unfortunately sitting on the sidelines right now. A lot of first timers that want to get in there, and I have directed them to either contact you, Freddie, or contact Mick to do some network stuff. And I haven't seen anybody actually follow through with that in a while. There's probably like at least 4-5 people that I've directed to do that. So
Do you have any names, or do you want to keep that to yourself?
I'm going to keep that private. But there's a bunch of them out there. Besides that, I think it's like a lot of the familiar names in terms of the bench that are kind of the staples. I don't necessarily think a lot of the, let's call it like newer names, like kind of broke through, right? I'm trying to think of some of them, but like remember that guy like Johnny, right? Remember Johnny? He kind of had like a Barstool type of look. I thought he was actually good on the show, but I don't know. I didn't get too much of a response. I'm trying to think of some of the other.
There's like levels to it. There's people that are like Brando's going to be a regular. I'm just guessing. But then there's people that are like the Johnny you mentioned that people don't really remember, but he's like you could slide him in and he's going to do it okay. He's going to have a good show. Like
Right.
you think of Played Against Sports guy. He's going to be fine. He's going to have a good show. He's not going to be Bradley Stein, but he's you can slide him in and don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a good amount of people like that. But I don't know. I like the chaos, so that's why it's good to have Mutt back, but it still keeps open that like one slot where you need 2 people in the studio. So hopefully we can get the newer guys or somebody newer to get in there, because I don't know, you kind of like that chaos of the newbie coming in and their life flashing before their eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, and there was some sentiment that the new people maybe should not have a person next to them so they can sink or swim. That might be
That's tough.
not the approach you want to take,
Yep.
but it could make for a sort of classic type of show.
I think yeah, that's either like it's either a great idea or it's a terrible idea. Like either you get someone and Kirk can like bring it out, or if they're just like not even like they're not playing along, but they just don't have anything to say, then it's just a show with Kirk, Dave, and me, and just some guy kind of watching along. But
Speaking of Bish, by April he'll be probably ready to come back in as well.
I think Bish needs redemption. He wants redemption. He had I know it didn't get the biggest laugh in the intro video, but I think when Kelly Keegs came on and started crying that Bish was being mean to her, and then it cuts to Bish like just not saying anything, just going like
what the fuck?
What did I do? It might have been the hardest. I laughed when I first saw that.
Yep.
I think if Bish does come back, it will be a very highly anticipated episode. So I think that's a good move to keep him in your back pocket and do bring him back, at some point, April or May or whatever.
I agree.
So on this remodel for the studio, you mentioned today that Barstool's worried about the streaming computer might explode. So like, don't you have the green light to just get a new one? And what I mean by that is like, I understand that Dan Katz probably funded half of the Chicago office, but that's a $50 million adventure for Barstool. Like
Right.
We're talking about a computer that can't cost more than, I'm just guessing $10,000. Don't you just have the green light to do something like that?
Well, first of all, I think everything comes out of like Kirk's budget. It's not just like Barstool buying it. So at least from Justin and I's perspective, like I think I said this on the show, like when we first kind of brought it up and started talking about the fact that this thing's 5 years old, it's been in use, every single day for 5 years, basically in some capacity, overloaded with streaming and recording at the same time or whatever. When we first
A lot of drops loaded into that
well, that's
system.
whatever. There's all these different things, right? And when we first brought that up, the recommendations for us, like what the replacement would be, to me was like beyond expensive. Like it was
wild. It was
like I wouldn't want to go to Kirk and be like, we got to get rid of that computer, and Barstow's recommending that we buy a $12,000 piece of equipment. Like that to me is just fucking crazy, especially if it's like coming out of his budget and things like that.
That doesn't make the show better. Like just
Anyway.
if the computer runs perfect compared to how it runs right now, like you don't see a difference in the product.
Right.
Like, if that makes sense.
Right. But
equipment has wear and tear, and sometimes you have to replace your roof. It doesn't make the value of your house go up, but
but we just knew.
I agree.
We just felt like there were alternative options to achieve the same product that's being put out there, or if not better, first of all, but like the same or better at a much lower cost. We think we found that option, and they like immediately were like, yeah, no brainer.
Yes.
So like that's gonna definitely happen. And I don't think
you do have your eye on a handful of like smaller equipment upgrades that are gonna, keep things flowing.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, even yesterday, like I think the chat notified us of a sound issue that was happening in the morning. That's because that computer is ready to go. Like we just do something. We have to use like a StreamYard like this. It fucks up that computer.
The sound for some reason.
It's crazy, and Justin has to go and fix it, and he fixed it. We did a test. Everything sounds great. We even yell into it when we do tests. We go to everything, and then all of a sudden, like the sound right as the show's happening fucks up. So that's that computer specifically, CPU or whatever the fuck problem with that. So, but the replacement that we suggested and did our research on, so that we had the answers back to them on what it was capable of. That seems to be approved and probably, hopefully, is in our possession early next week. We're hoping.
So is it possible that when the sound audio is just bad when he's on site in Chicago or New York, is it possible that that's also because of that computer being old?
No.
And that's totally separate.
Especially like I know you were into that Chicago one. We literally, the last thing that we said to Chicago was, can you record it on your end there? Like just record the audio, because the primary people speaking were all in that building.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Did they say yes? Did they confirm it?
Yeah, they said
yes. And then I think it was like someone forgot to tell Jeff there or something.
Right.
See,
and
that would be a good spot to name names and throw someone under the bus. That would make for good content. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's more old.
I was throwing people under the bus. Like when I was there the first run, and like we'd go to New York, it'd be like, yeah, go use this podcast studio. And then I'd be in there and it'd be like, I've worked with a lot of that different type of equipment, whether it be radio or podcasting, and I'd never fucking seen what they use. And you try to adjust the levels, and it was so different. So I just feel like for some reason, when we show up there, we're just on an island and we got to figure it out ourselves type of thing, sink or swim, when we never use that equipment. And then Coleman made a great point too the other day, which is like when Kirk's there, they have 5 million things going on. So they'll just yes us to death to take care of it. So hoping, the next go around, either Justin and I can just make that trip to Chicago and just like force their hand at that point.
Yeah. And don't take this the wrong way. Maybe on this 6-week break, you could spend a day and fly to New York and learn that shit, and then spend a day and fly to Chicago and learn that shit. And then when you get back, if you ever have to do it again, you might know it already. Again, that's just a stupid fan speaking. That probably doesn't actually make sense, but it just popped into my mind.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, not a crazy thought.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough on equipment. So Menners is trying to do this. So you saw Menners the other night. He said he's going to try to do a KMS style show with some people on the network. Do you think this is going to actually happen? I've heard people say that this is a bad idea by Menners and it's not actually going to happen. He's going to do some B- version of it. Do you guys have any take on that or not care?
I think it's like whether it's good or not, I don't know. I do think like why not? If he wants to do a show where he talks about things, and it depends. Like if he tries to pretend to be Kirk too much, that's like weird. Like if he starts like obviously trying to play up for some Kirk stereotypes or whatever, where it's like oh we get it, yeah, Kirk does that too, Manners. That'd be kind of weird. But also like don't try to just be. Don't make it all about Manners. Actually, like talk about things. I actually think he might do a half decent job at it. And I'm not saying it's going to be like everyone's going to be like, "Whoa, holy shit!" It suddenly gets 20,000 views on the YouTube. But I think it's something. Worst case scenario, people don't like it and he stops. But I think it's worth a try.
I don't think I've ever consumed a bad piece of Menner's content. So to me, like he can't miss. So I say just go for it. Just go for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it is tough. Like if you try to be like Kirk too much, it'll almost be like when the Patriots coordinators used to go somewhere and try to be Bill Belichick.
Yes.
You can't be Bill Belichick. You can't be Kirk.
But then
So
also, you can't be Gerard Mayo and try to be the exact opposite of Bill Belichick while trying to be Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make? I don't know. I'm talking on my ass.
It'll be just interesting to see because I feel like we're all typecasted in a way. Like when Justin and I try to do those producer shows, and we try to talk about topics versus like just the show or Minifan World, like we sound like absolute assholes trying to do that. So I would assume Menners is probably going to sound pretty unique attempting that himself, but I want to see it regardless. I definitely want to see it.
And I would say again, this is just a stupid fan's perspective, but when you do the producer shows, I don't think that people care about like your takes on the topics, like oh, what happened on, what happened with Felger, what happened with this. I think the fans care about KMS and they're tuning in for behind the scenes stuff. Like what show related shit can you talk about? That's
Right.
at least that's my sort of impression of what
I
drives people.
I think we both agree with that, but the problem is that sometimes, we talk about all the show related stuff going on, and then we're like only 18 minutes deep, and we're like, well, I don't know what else to.
And all the show related behind the scenes stuff comes up on the show. So then it's like we're just basically repurposing that. Like we don't keep stuff hidden from the main show.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in that spot. So I hear you.
It's a tough spot.
Yeah, so just the network is going to keep thriving and continuing to try to put out great content while KMS is on hiatus. Like I said, I'm not taking a break per se, but this show is taking a break, so you won't see Fireside Chats.
Oh, is that a hint at something else?
No. What I'm getting at is, if people are doing network shows, I might be available to pop on if I'm available. I'm not.
But there's no new Freddy Lynn production in the works, is what?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I was going to say, because if you were to come back next Wednesday night at 9 with State of the Union with Freddy Lynn, and it's the exact same thing, I'd be like, okay, well, this was pretty fucking.
You're prepared to be a role player. You don't want to be the quarterback.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah. Next week, State of the Union with Freddie. In the background isn't a fireplace. It's the Congress or whatever. Yeah. That's not going to be happening. What I'm saying is, I'll be around if people want me to hop on shows, or maybe I'll do an emergency episode every now and then if something warrants it, but I'm not promising anything. So don't get your hopes up.
Well, Justin and I said today that some of the producer shows, we'd love for people to pop on some of those. So that might be.
Have you invited people?
No, not yet. Well, we don't know the schedule of the next one. Once we know when the next one is, we'll
I see.
Maybe invite some people. Yeah,
that makes sense. So any other network bullshit you guys want to talk about or no?
No, I think Menner's Live is coming up after this. So
yep,
it'll be interesting.
That's right.
See,
yep.
What goes on there?
So I thought that show was really good. The Laconia recap that they did the other night. I thought they did a good job with that.
It was good. It was a good panel. A lot of good storytellers on the panel. We'll let that sort of live and simmer as it was. But yeah, they did a good round table. I thought it was very watchable. So anytime you can get people that were at a live event to share their experience with people that weren't there,
right,
you're going to get engagement. You're going to get people that want to know, what was it like to see Danny and Billerica doing that? What was it like to see, whatever person, doing whatever. So I think that was a good show, good idea.
I will say too, and when I was listening to that was that Tuesday morning? I was listening to. Did that come out Monday night?
That
Yes,
sounds
I was
right.
I
listening
think
to
so.
that on
Yeah.
Tuesday. It is interesting to hear the perspective of the people that like aren't able to go to all the different shows. Like Menner's, he's saying how much he'd cut off a leg to go see the shows, and I've been lucky enough where I've been able to see all the different shows. So I do think it's a good mix to get the people there, and then the people like that just get the Twitter reaction. You can see that, and kind of get the FOMO.
Yeah, and he's done shows in the past. I think he did a FOMO show for one of the Saco drive-in events.
I think that was for Portland last year. He did it during the show.
That could be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like when it's not like, obviously there's some predictable characters on the network. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I like when there's some newcomers that give their opinion on the show, specifically like on the live show. Like hearing Billboard chart guy to me was a unique perspective because it was new. Then you kind of knew, like, I love Kevin. I think he's great. He was great on the show. But I kind of knew where Kevin was going to go when I saw he was going to be on the panel. So it was good to see Billboard chart guy kind of give his explanation on everything.
And I will apologize to Billboard chart guy. We corresponded about a month ago, and I actually had him booked for next week's Fireside Chat for March 12th, which is not happening. So I'm sorry, Bill. We'll catch you on the flip side with that. All right, I do have a obligatory Barstool topic to wedge in here.
Let's go.
Did you see any of the Clemmer versus Mincy combine yesterday?
I did see a little of it.
I saw bits and pieces here.
The Clemmer with the rollers, the roller skates, and doing his whole compact thing, just so fucking obnoxious to watch that. It's just it was crazy.
Well, both of them said I can't do rollerblades, and then they sort of talked them into it. And Clemmer's like, I'll just do the squat and just push myself. And then he looked up and was talking shit. He's like, Mincy, I'm gonna beat you no matter what, so don't even try. Like, this game is over.
I haven't been on roller skates, since I was like 5 or whatever, but I gotta imagine they could have put on roller skates and just walked in them. Like, he just looked like just such an asshole doing that whole compact gimmick of his for the entire lap or whatever. But yeah,
it was funny though.
Yeah.
But I did think Clemmer at times, like, he would win 2 or 3 events in a row, and then they'd try to get the fix in to get Mincy to catch back up.
Yep.
And Clemmer knew what they were doing, and he didn't want to be made sport of. So he was like, what the fuck, guys? Like, this is bullshit. I won that event. I won that event. Like, they're just trying to make it close for a good show. And it's a classic Clemmer where he doesn't want to be the butt of the joke. He doesn't want to know that he got hired because he looks funny. Like, he wants to be the serious guy doing a movie podcast. He doesn't want to be the guy getting laughed at.
Yeah, but also, like, wasn't there a cash prize involved?
Oh, I don't know that. That could be. I'm not sure about that.
So I could see getting kind of, you got to play with it here and there.
Also on Clemmer, and maybe I'm wrong because I skimmed through it because it was so chaotic. The Kane Clemmer experience at the pre-show thing. Did you watch the whole thing, Freddie? Like,
I saw that exchange, and I think Kane was just looking for someone to hate.
It's a bit, right? Because Clemmer wasn't that bad with him, right?
He was very normal.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I then I heard him like bitching about it later on that show the other night. So I was like,
Kane looks for like a target, and he zooms in on it, and then he like points all his bullets at the guy, and that becomes his target. It's a weird bit by Kane. I'll let him do his thing.
Yep.
I forgot to mention, I think Bobby Costa wants to come back in the third chair when the show comes back. So
yes, I did see him tweet that out. And obviously Bobby's always welcome. He's he's on every show if you listen on audio form.
I've said it many times on this show. Anytime you put a mic in front of Bobby Costa, it's a good thing.
One of my biggest regrets is not playing that Mutnansky song right away. It's legitimately one of my, like, I felt terrible when
it's okay. And there are people that are saying that there was Twitter pressure and pressure from programs on the network, maybe this one, maybe not, that got you to play that song. So maybe all's well that ends well.
That's right. That's a good point. I do remember you saying that I think it was you, that there was an excellent parody song that was not played, and you'll play it next week if they don't play it on the show.
Now, I will say this, because sometimes you can just have a bad read on something. When my first run as producer, it was basically everything gets played and Kirk can just shut it down. I feel like, and I could be wrong, and hopefully Kirk clarifies this at some point, where I feel like we're almost back to that because like this past song that we just played, Justin and I both kind of knew that one, but I think that fear of like, well, we don't want to miss out on the Mutnansky thing type again. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I feel like we might be back to those days. I don't know.
Yeah, they're very the songs are hitting at about 20% right now.
Yeah.
But when they hit, they
AI
fucking hit.
AI is
Yeah.
not it. Like AI had one
I
and a
agree.
half good songs. Shout out Mikey Grab Bags, but you I think Bobby, anytime Bobby sends in, maybe gets the green light.
Yep.
Moving forward. But is there anything that we did not talk about tonight that you guys wanted to discuss or bring up or ask her or whatever?
Well, we did. I know it's kind of overshadowed by the whole Laconia thing, but it was great having Coleman back in the studio on Friday. This was his first time back since July. I know it was just for a call show, but I think Coleman's invested. He's into it. You can tell that he loves the Miniverse. He loves the Minifans. He loves Kirk. So it was great to see that because like Mike said, I think a lot of people would have, after when Coleman left in July, like the betting favorite would have been he just goes off and does nothing and maybe he'll make a video here or there. But he's as involved. Like if you were to put a gun to someone's head, or I don't know why a gun's involved here, but in November of 2023 with Gus and Coleman, and say both of these guys will not be on the show this time next year, who will have a bigger online presence and be more involved in the Minifan world? Everybody would have said Gus.
Right.
Well, Gus was a hardcore Minifan for forever, and now he still is, but he's not as
He's a working
present
man.
out
He's
there.
delivering. So
Yeah, he's just busy.
And
I have
Coleman's got
heard-
a job too, which is that good for him. I'm happy for that.
I have heard rumors that Puff Puff Piece might be making a return. So that's exciting.
Right next to the Consistency podcast. It was good to see Coleman in studio, and I was happy to hear that Matt Carano gave him a call to try to see if he would meet up with him at a rest stop in New Hampshire.
Yes.
I'm curious to know if that happened or not, but I thought that was a funny call. Dave, anything we didn't bring up that you wanted to touch on tonight?
No, I would say maybe two insider pieces. Then not that it's crazy. It's that we tried to get Carano involved in the live show, right? And he didn't respond. Right?
Yeah, no, I think he was doing something. I think he did.
Oh, was he busy? Did he say he's busy? And then the second thing I was going to say is the BO Boys released that video today. Did you see
Yes.
that video with Clemmer and that whole skit? I don't know if you saw that, Freddie, but that was a video that just, we ended up having so many videos, so it just didn't make the live show, but they released that today. So that was good.
I got to check that out. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I thought it was nice to have the producers check in as we, embark on this break for KMS. It's also a break for Fireside Chats. As Kirk said, life will go on. But just from me, thank you to everybody that's tuned in. I know that this show has had a loyal and rabid fan base, and everybody, on the whole staff appreciates it. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Thank you to everybody that's come on as a guest. 28 unique separate guests. Find me another network show that's done that. I dare you. And thank you to the behind the scenes people. I had a senior associate producer of this show that was unnamed the whole entire time. He knows who he is. I've had a lot of help from people in the Twitter spaces, a lot of help from people everywhere. So appreciate everything, and thank you, Kirk, as always. Without him, none of this is possible. So appreciate it to both of you. Thank you guys very much. Stay tuned for what's next. Hopefully we'll see a producer show either this week or next week, probably next week. And then, thank you guys.
Your
Thank
first
you.
time is over, Freddie. Thank you.
Thank you.